I'm David John Sponheim with AmericasThirdParty.com. We're interested in your opinion. We want to know what you have to say about America. Our goal is to gather all the information we can, to piece together the experts and their opinions, and get everyone on the same page. We're not going to unite unless we can agree, and we've formed a party in the middle, America's Third Party, where I think everyone can start to agree instead of fight and bicker. We want to agree on policy, we want to agree on spending, and we want to get our country back on track. So if you believe in America, you're probably going to like AmericasThirdParty.com. Check us out. Our nation is going down the tubes, and I'm going to stop it. I want to get us environmentally friendly, not reliant on foreign oil. And I want to have a clear vision of what we want as the future for our children. America can be great. America is great. And we're not going to back down in Iraq. We're going to use our technology to win the war and provide peace and humanitarian effort to the Iraqi people. That is my vision. And I need your support. My goal within the first 100 days of my presidency, if elected, will be completely different than what Barack Obama has done. Number one, I want to find the waste first and foremost, present it to Congress, and cut at least 50% of it, because I'm sure they won't be willing to give up 50% or more of their pork barrel projects. But that's realistic. If we find the waste, we can trim our budget and find that waste and direct it toward a program to build jobs in our economy. That job opportunity will mean people getting an education within 6 weeks to 6 months in jobs like solar panel installation, wind power maintenance and construction, and creating plug-in hybrid electric vehicles and maintaining them. Our goal is to help our highways throughout the nation, and those jobs are pretty much shovel-ready jobs. People can start doing that. And I have mentioned our homestead renewal plan, where people don't need any training at all. They can start working immediately, laying carpeting, putting paint up on walls, fixing electrical systems, and they'll work with trained technicians, so they'll learn a trade while they're getting a service income, while they're getting money to help have a living wage. And that will give them points that they can apply toward home ownership. These are solid foundations to build our nation on. We've got a much better plan than Barack Obama. I'm David John Sponheim. Check out our amazing biodome. We built it for less than $100. Come on into the video. Hi. David John Sponheim here, Sarah Hart. We have a fantastic thing to share with you. It's a biodome we built, and it only costs under $100 to create, and I think you're really going to be excited.
Yeah, it's really great to grow vegetables in the winter when it's cold out like it is now. We still have sun, but it's quite cold, so.
We have a little solar system running in case we want to do any irrigation off of the sun. See that? Those are black barrels filled with water, and they soak up the heat. Right now inside of here, it's like 40 degrees right now outside, but inside is about, you say about 95 degrees?
If you look around, we put shelves on all the different sides of the biodome. We And we started with a top from a yurt, and actually created the plastic with PVC piping, black PVC piping,
Right.
to create a, and then 2x4s.
2x4s. Let's count how many 2x4s are in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I mean, some
regular
of the wood
2x4s.
might be more expensive than $100, but if you're able to get it from a place that they're building a house or something like that,
Right.
it works out really well.
So you're planning on starting seeds, is that it? In the seed starter?
Yeah,
here?
I'll put seed starters in, and I have some smaller ones outside or things like this. And then I'll start the seeds and I'll put them all along the edges of the shelving in here to germinate them.
Great. And something that really requires germination would be something like that. Maybe lettuce could get started there. But this is how you get your garden started, folks. And what we did was we constructed this with recycled materials, and also, like she said, a yurt had a crack in it, so we used the dome. But this could be replaced by plastic sheeting and PVC or water piping. This is a particular type of metal that's very good reflective agent and has an insulation barrier. You can get this at most hardware stores. But as you can see, it's pretty well made for $100, and it has withstood 100-mile-per-hour winds. It should be able to handle that.
Yeah, it's
The
pretty
construction, yeah. So we use that, and then we have a water barrel back in the back that we have a timer on, and we have a solar system for pumping and getting water to plants in the summer when we're not able to service it all the time.
Well, that's even cool too in your garden with just a PVC pipe that you created with plastic sheeting,
Right.
as a mini greenhouse type thing
Yeah.
to start germinating during the winter.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good. Okay, well, great. Thank you for sharing this beautiful experience. We created this biodome about 2 years ago, and if you want to get more information, you can certainly email us. Be glad to talk to you, and thanks for watching. This project required 10 2x4s, 8 feet long, 20 yards of 5mm plastic, and 30 feet of flexible PVC. So start your own biodome and save a lot of money on vegetables coming up this year. My name is David John Sponheim. I'm running as America's write-in presidential candidate, and I believe I have a solution for our economic collapse, if you will. Immediate funds need to be restructured at the Federal Reserve level, but they need to be transparent. They need to go in front of Congress and talk about exactly what they're going to do. And I propose at this time, this juncture, we move toward a flat tax. We propose a work package where people can build windmills, build solar panels, where they can repair the roads in our country, and a service package where folks can just go out and learn new trades, new opportunities, especially in the high-tech sector. So we need to get people better jobs, stimulate our economy, and get ourselves back on a positive track financially. A flat tax is an excellent way of reorganizing funds and putting them back into our economy. Get back to me with your opinion, whether it's video or just a comment. I'm open to your ideas.
Hi, I'm Candy Rain. Are you a voter? And are the two choices running for president right now not appealing to you in any way whatsoever? Then you are in luck. America, we now have a third-party choice. David John Sponheim. Please visit www.americasthirdparty.com. And when that time comes for you to vote, write in David John Sponheim for president. Our future. You will not be disappointed.
I'm David John Sponheim, and I endorse this message. Hi, I'm David John Sponheim, and I want to be your president. People are asking me every day on our blog TV show, are you like a porn star or something? And I'm going to tell you, man, I am not a porn star. In fact, What happens when a president has to answer the ultimate question? Are you a porn star? And the answer is, like, from Nixon's point of view, is, I want to make this perfectly clear. I am not a porno star. Or maybe if you were Jimmy Carter would have said, I think that Rosalind and I are not engaged in any behavior like that. I did lust after a Playboy magazine, though. Or maybe Ronald Reagan, the guy who pushed Jimmy Carter aside and showed us what true presidents are like. Ronald Reagan.
Well, I'm sure Nancy and I wouldn't have approved of that, but it would have been awfully fun.
Or,
Mr. Gorbachev, take down your pants.
or could it be like George H.W. Bush?
1,000 women I didn't do.
Or America is a new world odor. Or Bill Clinton. I never had sexual relations on camera. But or something maybe even more contemporary, like George W. Bush, you know?
People die fighting for porno. Laura and I never did that.
So what if Barack Obama said, I'll make no mistake about it, I'm not a porno star. Could you advance the teleprompter? Okay. I think this guy should admit to having never been a porno star either. Don't ever call me a porno star. What if he did that? Wouldn't that be better and perhaps more presidential of him to be real as opposed to unreal and like a cardboard cutout teleprompter reading president that you've got today? I would rather be the president to communicate directly to you, and you can do that when we do our blog TV show. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David John Sponheim. I'm running for president in 2012. Recently, we were asked in our forum at americasthirdparty.com, what programs would we cut and what would we invest in to help our economy? To begin with, we would shrink the military budget, lowering the cost of operations, yet maintaining the defense of our foreign interests. The price will be drastically reduced. For instance, in Iraq and Afghanistan, we currently are paying for 56,000 gallons of fuel per day, burned, operating in both of those theaters. That will be drastically reduced due to the simple fact that we will no longer engage in these wars with the same tactic of using our ground forces all spread out. We have a different tactic at America's Third Party. We hope to build weapons-free safe zones that will guarantee the survival of the people that truly need to be protected. These will be voluntary zones that people can go to find safe haven in the event of attacks by insurgents. We will also mandate the primary use of UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, for the defense of those regions, lowering the cost of field operations, and also we will limit the use of mercenaries like Blackwater and corporations like Halliburton. We will no longer place them on the payroll of the United States government. The programs within the United States that need cutting and trimming will be analyzed by a team of auditors. The resulting savings of our national budget will be close to 50% by our projections. We will save an additional $500 billion to $1 trillion by cutting unnecessary programs that serve no purpose. Currently, there's about 29 million non-U.S. citizens living in the United States that are drawing from our welfare, Social Security, Section 8 housing. We want to reduce that by at least 50%. With the savings of up to $1 trillion per year, we will then be able to allocate direct financing for key startup projects that will stimulate the economy. Giving the government the guiding hand to stimulate the private sector will give our nation the stimulus it so desperately needs. This will be inspired by a plan we call hybrid capitalism. It is where the government competes with industry, building a new revenue stream for the government other than taxation. This plan, when fully deployed, will form spin-off enterprises and will enhance the private sector. Specifically, green technology projects can be seeded and developed with this money. The programs that we at America's Third Party are suggesting will create between 3 and 5 million new jobs in America. These programs range from solar rooftop plans for every home to 10,000 new wind turbines across the nation. We believe in a comprehensive plan to become energy independent that will include building new nuclear reactors that will use 97% of existing spent fuel rods. This will produce zero emissions and will also clean our environment of nuclear waste. Furthermore, we will seed the development of plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, PHEVs, which will be affordable for the average American, under $15,000 apiece. This car will get over 100 miles per gallon and will have a tremendous effect on our overall energy usage. Idaho National Laboratories has been studying batteries for many years, yet we've not begun to develop our line of battery cells here in the United States until recently. This serves as an example of how our nation can move from research to design and finally deployment of new technologies. Making our cars more efficient will give our nation the tremendous savings of fuel we need. Long term, this will allow us to reduce our reliance on foreign oil and make our nation more stable economically. Now is the time to build for the future. We need to invest in a new maglev rail train, beginning in Los Angeles, a seawater pipeline in various areas stricken with drought, and tidal generators off our shores that we can export overseas for sale. These can be run on barges. They can desalinate water and create electricity. Brand new technologies that will truly get our nation and the world toward a more sustainable future. When you vote for me, David John Sponheim, I will lead this country into the future that we need.
Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.
And it's about 10 days until the primary election. Hopefully I'll get top 2 and we'll go on with this journey.
This journey, the process of building America's political party. Sarah Hart for State Senate. We got our sign made, and this is the future, folks. We're doing it. I hope you enjoy it, because we're doing it for you, the American people.
My name is Sarah Hart, and I'm running for Washington State Senate. I love this area. It's beautiful, but I think that we can make it even better in the future. Vote for me, Sarah Hart, a young, fresh face for the Senate.
Good evening, fellow voters. My name is Sarah Hart, and I want to be your state senator. I want to thank you for coming out tonight, because your participation is important in our democracy. I'm running for state senate to show you that anyone can run for office. And in fact, anyone can create a political party. I help create America's third party. We have a centrist vision where we can meet in the middle to find solutions that work for all of us. I'm running on a platform to eliminate government waste, to make government more efficient and more accountable to the taxpayers. I want to represent the common people because I'm a common person. I help create America's third party, and you'll see that I prefer America's third party on the ballot because I believe that we can work in the middle to find solutions that work for all of us. 5 years ago, the legislature put aside $285 million to fix our ferries. That was enough time and enough money that was put aside to replace our aging ferries. Yet they were pulled, the steel electrics were pulled from service on Thanksgiving with no prior warning. Now, a 90-car seal is sitting in standby and is unable to be used in the Keystone Harbor because the harbor is too small. In the long term, we may need to expand Keystone Ferry, and right now they're building 144 ferry boats that cannot be used in Keystone. They're also going to be building other boats that can be used in Keystone. Long term, we're going to have to expand Keystone Harbor out. Things just didn't add up for me when I saw electric poles being moved 3 to 5 feet in some cases to expand our lanes a few inches on either side. On Highway 20, we had a 2-lane road before. We still have a 2-lane road. It's time to analyze our budget and make sure things are being spent efficiently. One of the ideas was for a way for the state to make money for Alaskan Way Viaduct. I would love to see if Alaskan Way Viaduct, I know it's not in this district, but I would have loved to see if they could build a multiple-story building where they could lease out apartments and lease out office structures underneath, and then they could actually make money. AmericasThirdParty.com to provide for healthcare for people. One of those ideas is to have mobile medical systems in all areas that could travel and and provide direct health care, preventative care, that could then, if they're needed in an emergency, could be used for emergency purposes. But we know that the cost of care is really high because people go to the emergency service instead of taking care of needs that could be taken care of through preventative needs. Before coming here, I lived in Humboldt County, California, which is very beautiful, but loggers were at odds with environmentalists. And I saw that they could work together with sustainable forestry to balance their economic and environmental needs. The same is true in Puget Sound. We need to balance our economic and our environmental needs. We can do that with managed growth, sustainable agriculture, and investing in renewable energy. I envision a future with renewable energy, with maglev rail systems across the country. I envision a future where we rely on other forms of transportation, so we won't have to be complaining about high gas prices at the pump, because we'll know that we can use other forms of transportation to get us nearby. I would love to see small community stores so that we don't have to go 5 miles to town to get our groceries, our simple commodities. So I want to see a future that's bright and hopeful for all of us. I see that future in alternative energy, that we can harness the power of our tides and harness our wind and solar. So I look forward to a great and beautiful future for all of us, for our children and for our grandchildren. When I'm in State Senate, I'm not just going to be thinking about today. I'm going to be thinking about the future generations of tomorrow. It's time to get back to the basics. I look forward to answering your questions tonight because it's time to bring Hart back into politics. Sarah Hart for State Senate.
Introducing the plug-in hybrid electric revolution. PHEV is coming to your nation. Imagine plugging in your car in a regular outlet and getting between 60 and 100 miles per gallon. This is my
2000 hybrid electric Insight.
This Honda Insight is the first hybrid electric ever made.
Anyway, this isn't about my car. This is about hybrid electric cars. And what this car isn't is it's not a plug-in electric.
We recently went to the Beyond Oil conference sponsored by Cascadia at the Microsoft campus. And we found electric cars like this neighborhood electric.
They're so quiet, these electric cars. That's really amazing. Look at that. 150 miles per gallon. Sarah Hart.
Here we are at the Beyond Oil TransTech Conference, 5th annual conference this year.
Yes, and we are visiting electric cars full-time, 2 days here in the Redmond campus of Microsoft. An excellent conference, and we're learning all about how to make this nation more efficient and save us all a lot of money on the gas pump.
Right behind us is a diesel-electric school bus, the future of school bus transportation.
This is a plug-in hybrid of the Prius variety.
Isn't that a nice one? Let's take a look. Just like any other Prius, but the battery pack is in the back.
That plugs in the back.
This is a nanophosphate. Right, the plug in the back and plug in the front. There's an extension cord ready to go. That is so nice. Good morning.
Morning.
Is this your car?
It's one of our members.
Your members, oh.
You can give it a 220 volt input, a 203 volt input, a 120 volt input.
Fantastic.
You can give it a DC input.
DC input.
Wow.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Are you, ooh, that's a beauty. That's, what is that, a spec car, or is that actually?
That's from the Western Washington, and they've got second to none the best automotive department this side of Detroit.
Yeah, I can move this.
What size is the motor?
The engine in this is a prototype for us. It's a 1.6 liter Honda motor, infernal combustion engine, as some of our electric friends here call it.
Infernal?
Infernal combustion engine. But we did it because it was given to us, and it's capable of about 50 miles per gallon. We have another vehicle that's similar to this.
A remarkable vehicle. And you have a couple other vehicles here too, don't you?
We do. We have the biomethane hybrid vehicle, plug-in hybrid vehicle here.
Wow.
And,
biomethane. That's fantastic.
So it's out of dairy cow waste.
Dairy
So
cow
we're
waste.
finding the
Now this
biogas.
blue vehicle
Very
here,
nice.
that's
Yes.
an all-electric, 130 miles an hour at freeway speed. 130 mile range at freeway speed.
Freeway speed.
It was built on
amazing.
a Honda Acura. It's been through all the crash tests. It's built on an existing frame.
Nice.
And within the next 3 years, they're talking about being able to triple its range to close to 450 miles.
On batteries only.
On batteries
That
only.
is truly
No-
impressive.
No gas power, nothing. And this is technology that is available to us today
Yeah.
by the major corporations. This is
costs
what
a
they've
lot of
released
money.
to us.
This costs a lot of money right now. Yeah.
But,
200 grand.
200 grand for
well,
that vehicle.
it costs $150,000 to build that.
Okay.
If you include all of the costs on the construction.
Is it lithium ion?
Lithium ion, we think we can cut the construction time down from
Did you do
9
that
months
car?
to 3 months.
Is
I
that
have a
your car?
friend who did it.
Trying to work on it, yeah.
He should be taking people on test rides, but I think it scares people.
Yeah.
130 miles at freeway speed.
That's impressive.
That scares people.
It does.
That means that 95% of all gasoline cars could be replaced
Would be obsolete.
within the next 5
Yeah,
years.
Exactly.
Just like Israel and Finland are doing in the next 3 years. 33% of all gasoline motored vehicles will be off the roads in Finland and in Israel within the next 3 years, thanks to
Fantastic.
Renault and some decisions made. This is a decision that can be made by our federal government, and you can meter the electricity going into it.
Perfect.
So you do not lose control.
Thank you.
General Motors did it 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Well, but the General Motors
The EV1 you
vehicle
mean?
you couldn't work on. This one, a backyard mechanic can work
The
on.
GM EV1, we have one, and
I can't work on it. We pulled an EV Ranger apart, and there are some batteries in there you cannot get replacements for. So what you have to do is you have to fool the computer, and it takes a genius to do that. We tried that, and we gave up because there wasn't any money in doing it. But this, on the other hand, this is something a backyard mechanic can do. You can take any car as long as you can fool the computer system.
Right.
But it's also can be put in full production within 1 year.
All electric.
We could all electric, 130 mile range with existing technology.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate
What
it.
you're doing at Western Washington University is fantastic.
It's fantastic,
Somebody,
yeah.
you're gonna touch somebody, and they're gonna say, "I have a solution to this."
Yeah. If not yourself, because I think you're on the road to winning this award.
well, we'll see here.
The
At
X
least
Prize.
It's good competition to have, and it's
Yeah.
good to get all these different cars out there.
Definitely.
As it's been said, shame the automakers.
They haven't done it soon enough, that's for sure. Good. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Our goal is not to shame
Thank you.
anything. The goal of the electric car business is not to shame people, but to work with the existing corporate structure and give them the options that they need to
Yeah.
move forward. Not to shame anybody or change the existing monetary structure, but to give options so that they can say, here's an option, now how do we deal with it?
Yeah.
But not to change anything. Do a seamless change so that we do not feel the change, but so that we're very quickly moved into the next century.
I love that. I love that concept. Great. Thank you very much, William. Yeah, this is Idaho National Laboratory, which has been doing a lot of the testing on batteries. They've had presentations here. And Plug-in America. Plug-in hybrids, the future of travel in America. This is so cool. Carbon Neutral Conference, Beyond Oil. This is about the conference. Sustainable Transportation. We have these brochures, I believe. I think we need one of them. Yeah, pick up a brochure. And this is Windworks Northwest. Very, very important, big part of our renewable energy, full spectrum plan to get this country energy self-sufficient. And this is we needed one of those, Commons. And this is who's promoting this, Discovery Institute, Cascadia, clean, green, and smart. Very cool.
Let's make a seamless transition to the future. I'm David John Sponheim, America's write-in presidential candidate. Join me as we make this planet cleaner, greener, and energy efficient.
Hi everyone. Today we're going to demonstrate how important solar energy is to our renewable energy future in America. I'm David John Sponheim for ATP Live, and we're doing a road trip here. I'm running a solar panel right here that has a fan on the back of it. There's wind blowing. You can probably see my hair blowing in the background. Okay, there's something wrong with this picture, and I'll tell you what's wrong with the picture, and that is, take a look here. In the background, you're looking at wind towers that aren't moving. You're looking at an actual series of wind towers all the way around that are not moving, yet the wind is blowing. Now look at Sarah's hair right now. And you can see her hair is blowing.
I'm not touching it, it's blowing.
And that's why wind power is not something that we can rely on solely for our renewable energy needs.
Okay, we're seeing some windmills, but they're not moving.
This is an example of the downside of renewable energy systems like windmills. There's no wind, folks. Wind energy only produces at the most 15% of our energy needs, even if they're running at full capacity, and as you can see, none of these are moving. Now, wind energy is a very, very good program for the electric grid. Now, I support the idea of windmill production, but I'm not going to support massive projects which will cost tons of money and not provide us free energy. Bell Labs created this technology, and in 1975, this was actually 30 years ago, and this technology actually creates enough energy to power up a fan in the background. The fan is blowing, it's creating energy, and it's a constant source of energy. Whereas what we're dealing with obviously these windmill production systems is we actually have to rely on a tremendous amount of wind to get these massive turbines going. And ultimately, our country is going to be left holding the bag, paying for these huge windmills long term, and it's going to cost us because they don't always work. Now, I believe that wind power will give us about 15% of our energy needs, maximum. The solar can virtually create free energy all around our country. And that's what this new book is about, Free Energy. It's about building a sustainable economy where you could actually drive an electric vehicle and it'll run for free. You won't be monetized, you won't have to they won't charge you for that energy. You'll plug into an electric plug at your house that you currently have, and it'll give you free energy. It'll come from things like this, solar panels. Now they're making solar panels now that are going to be 85% efficient. And that means that our country could be completely energy independent, completely running on its own power within about 5 to 10 years. As your president, I can truly make this happen. I'm not going to sell off an energy grid to some foreign country. I'm going to create a free energy grid for America so that all of us can begin to convert to hybrid electric vehicles and electric vehicles. And it's not going to happen too fast, but it'll happen fast enough so that you'll save money and begin seeing those savings in your own family budget and begin getting on the road toward a free life that you can live without having to work like slaves to maintain a certain income. I want you to be able to work, but come on. You don't have to be slaves to produce enough money to buy your energy. It'll be free. And that's what we're hoping to create for America. At America's Third Party, our dedication is to renewable energy. But it has to be free energy. It can't be costly. And I'm not going to sell this to some foreign company. This is going to be yours, owned by the United States people. Okay, so by now, I'm sure you're very familiar with how an electric grid is spread out.
It's part of our electric grid in Washington. You see the big transformers? It's part of our electric grid. And this is a waste-to-energy plant.
Converting, I assume, methane to actual energy.
Yes, I believe so.
Hydroelectric dams that are just safe. I mean, what would they possibly want to do with this? Now, I'm sure these electric grids have a reason. There's probably there's a hydroelectric grid dam. Okay, well that explains it. Perfectly logical explanation for this particular electric grid, right? I'm looking at a nuclear reactor. The United States has
nearly 104 nuclear reactors run by 30 different power companies. And we have a lot of spent fuel rods as a result of this. What we want to do at America's Third Party is create fast breeder reactors, much like the ones made in France, that get rid of 97% of the dangerous radiation from spent fuel rods. So in summary, if we pursue solar energy with a vigor, creating highly efficient solar panels that can sell for as low as $1 a watt, we begin to create a huge market and we can begin to export them overseas. But currently, nuclear power comprises 20% of our energy needs. We anticipate solar and wind power adding to an additional 60% of our energy needs and leveraging completely off fossil fuel. So the future will be a free electric. So innovating, creating a new smart grid, and not charging the American taxpayer is our goal at America's Third Party. A renewable energy future where free energy will abound and our nation will grow economically well into the future.
I'm David John Sponheim, and I approve this message. Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.
Okay, Obama's been working with the big banks. 9 big banks got the TARP money, $350 billion. And then the other TARP money is being doled out, almost gone. And now Ben Bernanke is saying he wants another $500 billion to buy treasury bonds to keep our country going. Do you see where this is going? This is going to devalue the dollar, weakening it continuously, and forcing commodities and things like gold to obviously go up. But in the long run, we can bring back the value of the dollar with new technologies, new industry, and more disposable income in the economy. So what I'm preaching is solvency for our economy. A way of getting back out of the red into the black, where we can actually start gaining revenue in our own pockets so that we can go out and spend it in the retail sector. Now, these ideas are opposite to what our economists are currently doing. They're printing up massive amounts of money thinking they can just stimulate the economy by flushing it. It's like flushing gas into an engine, and what happens is it conks out. It virtually shuts down. And that's what's happening in our economy. Just like flooding gas into an engine. So what I suggest we do is rebuild the core ingredient to our economy, which is getting housing under control. Getting the cost of people's housing, rent, or mortgages under control, and at the same time, getting people a job in the Homestead Renewal Plan, and having them build up houses, renovating them, and making them much better. And people learn the value of a house. And we've built ideas into our platform that will be survivable for our economy. We can build up our economy without costing it a huge amount of money. And you, the taxpayer, will get instant relief with our flat tax program of 20% on everything over $20,000. So if you make less than $20,000, you won't pay taxes at all. And if you and your wife are declaring your taxes, you both get a $20,000 deduction. This is a huge savings for the lower middle class, middle, and upper class. All of these classes will benefit. And if this process works, we'll have more discretionary and disposable income in the economy to build it up and help our service sector and our retail sector and our merchants all do better. But if we rely on Obama flooding money into our economy, virtually weakening the dollar, and if we rely on him giving welfare out in massive dosage, draining from the working class, we will lose our ability to function. And that's not good. That could lead to food shortages. That could lead to energy shortages. These things can be intercepted right now. But you've got to start thinking about a third party. You can't just talk about it. Well, yeah, talk about it, but start really thinking about getting us on the ballot in your state. And you can find out about that by going to America's Third Party and clicking on the U.S. state map. Your state has individual laws for us to get on the ballot. The FEC regulations are all listed there. We've done a very clear job. You take it to the next step. You get the petition in your area and you get signatures for America's Third Party as a minor party status or an individual independent status for me running for president.
I'm David John Sponheim, and I approve this message. Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.
Welcome to America's Third Party News. Cutting-edge commentary from David John Sponheim America's future president.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. I'm David John Sponheim, and this is America's Third Party. And what I'm going to talk about tonight is the 100-day response to Barack Obama. We have reached the point of critical mass with Barack Obama. He laughingly apologized for flying a jet over New York City. Laughingly, with a smirk on his face, apologized for doing this. The cost of flying that jet and 2 F-16s following with photographs was $329,000. That's not something to laugh about or smile about. And I got to tell you, our country is now under the siege of this person we call Barack Hussein Obama. The president, or I should say the illegitimate president, because we really don't even know if he's a natural-born citizen. He's never presented a long-form birth certificate from Hawaii, not once. And we're now at the point where we're watching him virtually sabotage our economy. And I'm only bringing these points up because it's so obvious. And if people aren't aware of that, they need to start getting aware of it. Because, you know, Barack Obama has been sitting around on his hands and traveling around the country, parading around as the peacemaker of the world, when he should be dealing with our country's needs right here and now. Now, I say that we have to start dealing with this issue head on. And one of the ways we're going to do it at America's Third Party is to connect the jobs to the toxic assets, i.e. the houses. If you are foreclosed on, you'll be the first to see if you can get that house back. And we're going to offer a program called the Homestead Renewal Plan, where people can actually earn their house back using their sweat equity, fixing up other houses. This is a way to build up America, get our entire nation back on its feet with jobs and houses. And if we solve the housing crisis, we can solve this country's crisis. We can get started. And one of the keys to my solution to America is to build green tech jobs. And I mean really build green tech jobs. Dealing with building industry firsthand. I will follow industry from the cradle to the grave until we can find a plan that will get our country's manufacturing sector going. We have to start building jobs in new manufacturing, and we have to start exporting things that other countries want. We have waited too long for the two parties. We have waited too long for them to do what they needed to do, which was to create jobs, create homes for people that are homeless. There's no reason in the world why people should be homeless right now, even if they don't have a job. We have to solve this problem, and I'm going to do that. Now, I cannot do it alone. I need the American people, and that's why we have a Blog Talk Radio show, and I'm going to go ahead and talk to someone right now. I've got lots of callers on. We'll take the first caller. Go ahead. 347, you're on the air with David John. Welcome.
Hello?
Hey, New York City kid.
Hey, how are you?
We're excited.
I was watching the CNN grading thing. It came on right before his speech or whatever it's called.
Right.
And I would like to know why people gave him an A for the economy when thousands of people still have jobs. And I'm still applying for a job, and I still can't get one.
You still can't get a job?
I think that was real ignorant of people to give him an A.
I know. And that's the thing. People are just not aware of what they're doing or what they're saying. Many people have been led to believe that he's a great guy. The media is painting him out to be a fantastic president. They're doing exactly what they did to catapult him to fame as a rock star in politics. This guy doesn't deserve that status. He doesn't really have the ability to speak in an extemporaneous manner. He actually speaks with a teleprompter most of the time. You saw him today on the 100-day.
It was a giant teleprompter in the middle of the room.
There was, really?
People in the chat room don't believe me, but I saw one, and it was a black one, and there were white words moving up and down.
That's what I heard, too.
They kept showing it like throughout the show, but it was mainly in the beginning when I first saw it, and I was stuck on stupid at first.
Wow.
And then I had to rewind it because I have like the DVR from cable.
Yeah.
And then I saw it.
Wow. Amazing. Well, thank you for telling us that, because we really didn't know that he had a giant teleprompter in front of him during today's, I guess it was a press meeting, we'll call it that. It was also probably scripted, I might add. He had all the questions in advance, which is what he does. If you don't mind staying on the air, I'm going to go ahead and take another caller. We've got Pistol Pete in the queue. I'm going to go ahead and talk to him. Hang in there with us. I believe it's Pistol Pete. Hi, are you on the air?
Yes, I am, David.
Okay, great. Thank you for calling in. You'll have to excuse my exuberance, but this is kind of a momentous day. 100 days of Barack Obama has led us to this. What do you think? What's going on?
Well, you know, the biggest thing in my mind, and I've said it before on air with you, is the need for us to invest in alternative energy sources. Barack Obama has pledged through the federal government no more than George Bush. We are on the status quo. We are not investing more in renewable energies on a federal level. This, you know, whether it be through tax incentives, grants, anything like that. You've spoken yourself, David, about a company or corporation that you know of personally in the Washington area that is being, you know, they're basically being, a wall has been thrown up in front of them.
Right.
Now, of course, we need environmental oversight. These are companies that produce toxics, but at the same time, this is the time we need to create some jobs.
Yes.
We need to get the ball rolling. We need some help from the government. Well, the free market economy will do what it needs to do if it's given resources
and a little
by
push.
the federal government.
Yeah.
Take the taxes away. Just make it easier for this industry to start and to prosper.
Right. Let me bring everybody up to speed. What you're saying is the ARRA bill, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, $787 billion, actually only allocated $20 billion for renewable energy. Only $20 billion. And you're right, George Bush put that much into renewable energy as well. Which makes me wonder, what kind of change are we supposed to believe in here? I would have put $100 billion into renewable energy. I would be rebuilding the infrastructure and, yes, stimulating free enterprise. A company in Washington State called Outback Solar has yet to receive licensing. The Democratic governor here, Greg Warr, has not authorized them to start producing solar panels. We still import a tremendous amount of solar panels into this country from China. There's no reason for that. And people still pay $500 for a 100-watt solar panel when they should be paying $50. So you're absolutely right. These are really good points. Thank you for calling in, Pistol Pete.
Sure thing.
Okay, I'm going to go to the next caller. We've got a lot of callers in queue. Great night. Hello, 718. You're on the air with David John and America's Third Party. Go ahead.
Hey, David. How's it going?
Hey, Archie. You speak up just a little bit if you could.
Yeah. So they finally said that there was an actual death, though, from this swine flu that's going out. They said a little boy from Texas.
Yes, one child died. Yes, that's right. Unfortunately, it was a Mexican child who's living in America who died. And this is the first death, and we've got this level 5 pandemic level declared by the World Health Organization, WHO, and we all have to start taking precautions. In fact, we have air masks, which I could put on for everyone to see. We have 1 micron air masks that we're trying to help promote our party with. And these actually, if they make a chip-in donation to our party, I will send them a pack of 5 of these in a bag, and they're sealed. So this is just a way to take matters into your own hands and try to remain as safe as possible. It is not the end-all answer, though. So you have a better than average chance, though, of avoiding contact if you were to walk around in this. And a lot of people are very, very shy, and they don't want to do this. They don't want to be seen. You must feel a little of that because you ride the subways all the time, right, Archie?
Well, I haven't seen that yet, but, I think, if we see more cases, especially more deaths, we'll definitely see what's going on, like, in Mexico City, though, where everyone's wearing a mask.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, they are. And that's something that they can definitely do. One of the suggestions that I have is to actually get these masks to airplanes and give them to stewards and stewardesses and have them give them out to people who present with coughs. Anyone who has a cough on board an airplane should have one of these masks to contain their cough. This makes sense. This is just common sense. And the CDC should even send these things out in the mail to people all around the country. It wouldn't cost that much to do with order forms attached to them so that the CDC could make money on reorder. And we could actually get the ball rolling on getting our nation protected.
Thanks for listening to America's Third Party News. Join us next week as we bring you information you normally don't get in the mass media.
My fellow Americans, the current economic collapse that we are incurring is felt in everyone's home. It's Thanksgiving time, and we're all basically scrapping for money for savings, for growth funds, for retirement accounts, for whatever is going to give you security. Whether it's the food you eat that your children have to survive on, or it's the money in your bank that will help you through retirement years. These are eroding because of the practices of Ben Bernanke. This is serious. The actions of this man in buying up treasury bills for $200 billion worth from, mind you, Goldman Sachs. He's not buying them directly from the Treasury Department. He's buying them through Goldman Sachs. They make a commission on it. This is the most incredibly corrupt scenario our country has ever faced. Not only are we continuing to bleed out as a nation, but we're going to ultimately pay the ultimate price. Our tax dollars, our children's tax dollars, will be continually siphoned off of for decades to come. And worse than that, Barack Obama is outspending any previous president before him. He's on track to hit $3 trillion in a deficit right now. In fact, last year he was $1.9 trillion in deficit. We are currently facing the worst case scenario. A man who doesn't know what he's doing. He abandoned the auto bailout that he instrumentally pushed. He abandoned it this week when ultimately the General Motors stocks went up, initial public offering for $33, and ultimately the government lost $4.9 billion right out of the chute. They stand to lose around $10 billion. The amount of money we bailed out GM is not going to be coming back real soon. And the estimates that the stock is going up are hyperbolic at best. We are ultimately looking at lower stock prices for General Motors and for many other American companies. Because of the weakening of the dollar and because of the strength of the Chinese yuan, we are in a situation where we're virtually selling our country off. In fact, China is investing in General Motors stock. They already own GM Shanghai. They own controlling interest in that company. So we are systematically seeing our monetary system collapse slowly, but it could be faster than you think. So what I suggest we do is rapidly stop the Fed. We have to move in the House, and I urge Democrats and Republicans to work together right now to stop the Fed. They aren't even transparent. The Government Accounting Office only knows about what they do here in the United States, not anything about their foreign investments. So the Fed is out of control. And this is an organization, a virtual corporation that is not a part of our government. So I suggest we get them under control first, start getting affordable housing for people, and that means extending a 12-month moratorium for everybody who is currently in mortgage relief and having problems. And ultimately, then finding new housing for them through a federal program, like the home program that HUD currently has. So there are solutions out there, but we have to move rather quickly. And if we have to wait till 2013 when I'm President of the United States, we will do that. Either way, we are on track to arrest the situation before it's too late. But they are printing up money much faster than we can keep up with. Our debt is ballooning beyond all proportions, and I urge the Fed to stop this incredibly reckless behavior, which is in uncharted grounds, mind you. And we've got to realize the $200 billion that Barack Obama is trying to cut from the budget right now with his fiscal commission. They want to cut $100 billion from military, $100 billion from domestic. That is not enough. We need to cut a lot more than that. So in an effort to get a zero deficit in 2013, we will be making drastic cuts in federal budgeting, including the military and the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. I urge you to check out americasthirdparty.com and visit us on Blog TV every weekday. I'm David John Sponheim, and I approve this message.
Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David John Sponheim. I'm running for president in 2012. My response to the State of the Union address is to discuss the state of disunion. We are a nation divided as a result of 1 year of Barack Obama. He has done more to divide this nation. He's done more to separate the parties. He hasn't worked in a bipartisan way like he said he was going to do. And he's pushing legislation at such a rapid pace that many people are, quite honestly, extremely upset. The recent election in Massachusetts verifies the populist pulse of America. But the American people are not looking for a Republican for president. They're looking for an independent. And we believe The key to building our nation is to unite our nation in the center of the political spectrum. One of my biggest concerns about our country is the fact that under Obama's presidency, we have not limited the amount of racial profiling going on in our cities. Our prisons are still comprised 85% of minorities. There's a serious problem in our prison system. We also have 400,000 illegal aliens currently in our prison system. Our border with the South has never really been clarified. We've never stopped the flow of illegal aliens under previous administrations. I want to build a 1,000-mile fence along that border that's double wide and has the ability to run vehicles through the middle that will detect, with X-rays, tunneling operations. We also believe that doing that type of interdiction in our country, we can do that with our troops that we bring home from Iraq and Afghanistan. We can have the National Guard and the Army stationed along the border, freeing up the Border Patrol to move inland to help with cities like Phoenix, the second largest capital of kidnapping in the world. Our purpose right now is to maintain the solidarity and sovereignty of our nation, build its economy, and protect it from foreign threats. The threat of terror is real, but unfortunately, we don't want to be led down the wrong pathway, inflaming our neighbors around the world, making them think that we're cowboys, controlling the world, behaving like we're 911 to the world or the police officer to the world. We don't want that. We want to start setting out a new impression for our allies around the world to know that we are peace-loving people, that we want to engage in their humanity, in their betterment, as well as our own. But we have to start looking toward our own problems first. We have to start dealing with our crisis, the crisis in our economy, and the crisis in our foreign policy. Barack Obama ran on the idea he'd get us out of Iraq. Well, he hasn't done that. He's actually upscaled our troop strength significantly, especially in Afghanistan. What we need to do is begin a different plan, a strategy that will win the war on our terms. We'd like to call it winning the peace, if you will. We'd like to give the Taliban an area above Kabul, the size of Rhode Island, an area where they can consider a safe haven for their people. As long as they avoid coming over a line in the sand that we draw between Kabul and this region, we'll be fine. If they cross that line, we will deliver a striking force with our air power. We will stop them in their tracks. This type of firmness in our foreign policy will guarantee the success of our nation long-term in that region. And like I said, we can build safe havens for the people of Afghanistan around cities like Kabul, where they can voluntarily go in weapons-free safe zones, as well as provide a renewable energy source of growth, creating agriculture, and guaranteeing their long-term survival. Lowering the threat of sectarian violence in this region is our primary directive. We also want to help these people develop new forms of revenue, a way in which their economy can prosper. In Iraq, the oil wells have been virtually neglected since we've been there. What we need to do is bring modern technology in to make better use of the oil that's under the ground in Iraq. Those people can benefit and they can begin to pay back the debt they owe us for all the infrastructure we have placed in that region. These are plans that are far-reaching and are brand new. We don't want to in any way fall into the old ways of previous administrations embedding troops with the enemy. We believe that that's a failed tactic and it's not going to lead to a long-term containment and peace plan for that region. Our seawater pipeline idea could be utilized in this region as well as in Africa, in areas like Haiti that are clearly in need of a new source of fresh water. We want to provide this technology. This will also spawn new industries in America, creating the modules needed to connect the seawater pipeline. I urge you to go to americasthirdparty.com and look at our plans for the seawater pipeline. They're truly amazing. It uses passive desalination, running along a very long distance of clear translucent plastic. Underneath is seawater that's evaporating and creating freshwater troughs that could ultimately be stored in reservoirs and be used to grow agriculture and provide fisheries and a whole host of new opportunities where communities can be built up along the seawater pipeline. Cities like Las Vegas are clearly in need of such a thing. They estimate that Las Vegas will be 47,000 gallons a day shy of fresh water at the end of this year. We need to move rapidly in this direction. So, primarily my goal is to get our nation back with a fresh start, with brand new technologies and a very simple design for the future that is sustainable. Additionally, I'd like to build our agriculture. I'd like to improve our soil. I'd like to initiate a national composting program to bring food waste from the markets and the restaurants into the soil and into the farmers' hands so that we can constantly make a better product in our stores and grocery stores around the country. We have a plan to create essential foods. The government can get involved in this as well. Much like the government cheese programs of the 1970s, we create essential foods that people can buy with their food stamps. Limiting the waste of food stamp money that we currently put into the system will ultimately make our country run more efficiently and provide perhaps healthier diets for the people that are on food stamps. This will also be in tandem with a program we call the Homestead Renewal Plan, a plan that will build houses that are currently toxic assets in our banking system. We'll be able to buy them up at a discount, and using HUD dollars, Housing and Urban Development dollars, that are currently just wasted in the hands of slumlords, we'll begin to be the owners of our own homes again. People will begin to use their work to build their dollars or their investment in a new house. They can either receive a living wage or portions of it could go toward the down payment on a new house. This will only be available to people who've never owned a house. So investors won't be able to misuse this system and take advantage of it to build and sell houses and flip houses. We think that's wrong. We also don't believe in the mandate that the Community Reinvestment Act has given our country and continues to be pushed forward by the Democrats in legislation. This forces mortgage companies to receive millions and millions of dollars that we don't really have to give them. The current home loan modification program that Obama has put together is virtually costing up to $66,000 per house. In the end, mortgage companies are profiting and we as taxpayers are losing.
Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.
This is what you didn't hear on the news. This is the countdown to economic collapse. Our country is currently incurring a tremendous amount of loss. The real estate market is diving. 25-30% drops in prices across the board. And at the same time, Ben Bernanke is printing up yet more money. He's hoping to stem this deflationary trend, and experts like Goldman Sachs have said that it will only eliminate the trend by 0.5%, that it will only stop deflation by 0.5%. This is not enough, and Goldman Sachs is ironically the broker involved in the purchase of these $600 billion in treasury bonds by Ben Bernanke and the Fed. What we need to do is end the Fed. They no longer should do things that weaken the dollar. They no longer should be engaged in the regulation of our currency, which has no precedent in the U.S. Constitution. Now, as your leader, as your president in 2013, I will begin a process of regaining value and structure to the American dollar by building a broad spectrum backing to the U.S. dollar that will include coal, oil, gold, platinum, silver, a variety of commodities that will back the dollar. And we may begin printing up new dollars, mostly hundreds, as a way of stemming this incredible trend to weaken our dollar by the Fed. Now, the future is all about cutting waste, getting a zero deficit by 2013. And right now we don't have anywhere near a zero deficit. In fact, Barack Obama has probably outspent Bush by $600 billion every year since he's been president, and is on track to actually do worse than that. Put us near $13.7 trillion in debt, approaching our debt ceiling of $14.3 trillion. And that is clearly a problem. When we reach our debt ceiling, Congress will have to either raise it or stop spending, and I urge them to stop spending. Some of the programs we have to stop spending on are, obviously, the unemployment that Barack Obama has extended for 24 months to people. This is costing us close to $150 billion a year. The idea of giving food subsidies out through the Commodity Credit Corporation, $7.4 billion a month goes out. That's a huge number. And the yearly tax on our nation is huge. Our country's taxes are being raped by government spending that's gone awry. Why would we continue spending a huge amount on the Social Security Trust Fund when it's clearly not structured right? The Republicans have tried to privatize it. I would work towards something in the middle between privatization and getting rid of entitlements that people currently get. People with pension funds would not get a Social Security pension check. They would get strictly their pension fund. If they don't have any funds whatsoever, of course they get their Social Security money every single month. This is just one area we could begin cutting. The idea has been presented to raise the retirement age. I'm not in favor of that. I believe that everyone should collect Social Security benefits who qualify at 65 years old. We have a plan to get a flat tax on board, which will clearly build this nation up. We believe that corporations are not paying their fair share of tax. In 2008, ExxonMobil didn't pay any corporate income tax. This is an example of how they're using loopholes to get around it. The flat tax will eliminate all those loopholes. The USPS lost $8.5 billion last year. That came out of your tax dollars. $8.5 billion, and they're on track. The United States Postal System is on track to actually go bankrupt September 2011. Now, all of these are going to require adjustments, a new process, a way in which we can streamline government. The current debt is $13.75 trillion, folks. We're going to have to do something right now. The two-party system is failing. I urge you to go to americasthirdparty.com and check out our plan. It will make all the difference in helping this country get back on its feet. I'm David John Sponheim, and I approve this message.
Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David John Sponheim. I'm running for president in 2012. The biggest problem with our country right now is how Wall Street embedded themselves in the White House. Large firms like Goldman Sachs and Citigroup have had unparalleled benefits from the Obama administration. Tim Geithner oversaw one of the biggest debacles in U.S. history, and then he managed to get $182 billion to AIG. His department at the Federal Reserve in New York at the time telegraphed and said not to report $46 billion in losses for AIG during that time period. And we gave them matching funds, 100% for every dollar. This is a huge problem. And Tim Geithner is responsible for this. He has got to leave as Secretary of the Treasury. We also need to begin dismantling the Federal Reserve. This is a central bank which our country was never supposed to have. And unfortunately, it was forced to have. Back in 1913, it was put into place, it seems illegally, and we need to get that removed. The Federal Reserve consumes around $7 billion in operating costs a year. 18,000 employees will have to leave their jobs. We need to dismantle it and put the hands of regulating our monetary supply in the Treasury, where it belongs. So all of these sweeping changes are essential to getting our nation back towards solvency. We also want to help consumers with massive consumer debt. We realize that we cannot continue running in the red, individually or as a nation. We have to get ahead of it. And if we want to look at a long-term solution, I believe capping the amount of income banks make on every credit card user, limiting the amounts that we have to pay for past dues and late payments, what that will do will begin to get the banks in line, but will not restrict the flow of credit offered so that we can continue growing. As long as people pay back their loans, they'll continue getting loans. In fact, we'd like to build a program called a microloan program that will virtually seed individuals with up to $1,000 in capital, virtually at only 4% interest, very low, and as long as they pay it back within 6 months, they'll be able to get another $1,000. So this is a plan to get our nation's small businesses going. Building small enterprise and free enterprise is the secret to getting our nation back on track. Small businesses employ a huge amount, and they've taken a huge hit recently. The merchant class in our country is suffering. They are really, really reaching deep to find out new sources of money, and this is a great way to get the ball rolling in that direction. Now, many people have ideas of small businesses they'd like to pursue. We think that's a wonderful way of seeding that operation. I'd also like to build up our education by not testing as much. Obama's talking about a race to the top where he tests more, he holds teachers responsible for the bad scores their students are making. I don't agree with that at all. We have a plan called It Pays to Be Good. It Pays to Be Good is a plan which incentivizes learning, will provide kids scholarship funds as they go along, performing well on their finals. They'll be able to get these scholarship funds to use for their own purposes when they graduate from high school. This is a way in which we can get kids at an early age to want to earn points and possibly even buy small items in a gift store at their local school. This will begin the process of building the education system without putting too much pressure on our children. Already they're burdened, they're depressed, they don't want to learn. What they need to do is find their intrinsic motivation to learn and give them opportunities to develop their minds. For instance, I'd like to encourage robotic education. Building robotics in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade would be a great start for a lot of people who are mechanically and intellectually ready for that kind of a future. What we want to do ultimately is give everybody the chance to explore their own interests. And I think It Pays to Be Good will be a great plan that won't put too much pressure on the states. It won't have to create this threshold where the states have to constantly meet the challenge of the testing to get the federal dollars. We'll be able to give them the federal dollars earmarked for programs like this robotics education goal. So in conclusion, our nation is truly at an impasse. This really is a nation in crisis. What I hope to do for our country is give clarity at a time of confusion, bringing us together and uniting us, galvanizing the center of the political spectrum. And that is what America's Third Party is all about. Finding a new way to get along. No longer do we have to look at each other as if we're labeled Republican or Democrat. We simply have to be Americans. And we simply have to look at each problem in a way that will meet the guidelines and standards of both sides of the political spectrum. Every program should not cost a lot of money, but it should have a personal investment in individual opportunities. It should have the goal of protecting our freedoms, our civil liberties, protecting our goal as a nation to be a nation-state model for the world, where states have their rights guaranteed to them by the 10th Amendment, and where we are a republic, but we have a democracy that's fully functional, that can make and create new ideas, make decisions that will be in the best interest of the majority of people. Everyone knows that a democracy needs informed adults. We're also looking at a shorter work week, 4-day work week as opposed to a 5-day work week. This will give people more time with their children and begin to get the time necessary to educate themselves on issues affecting their local economy, their local government, and participate more in their local politics. So, we want a nation of people that believe that they can change, not a nation of sheep that want to just follow a mindless belief in change. We want to see change, we don't want to see it cost us too much. And we want to have more than just change in our pockets when we get done. We want to have a robust economy with world-class products going out there and building exports so that we can hold up our dollar in the world economy and we can begin to show the rest of the world we are, again, the leaders. Not only in sustainable green technologies, but in a way of life that truly matches the environment we live in, where the earth does get better, where we clean the planet as opposed to destroy it. So please vote for me in 2012. I'm David John Sponheim, and this is America's Third Party.
Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.
Hello, I'm David John Sponheim, and this is Countdown to Economic Collapse. Here's just a quick recap of what happened last week. Ben Bernanke came out and told America that he has essentially given out $9 trillion in loans over the past 2 years. And additionally, he's printed up $3.3 trillion simply to stimulate our economy. And in the process, we owe that money eventually, ultimately weakening the dollar. The reaction? Our dollar weakened. Exactly. Oil futures went up, people bought gold, the price went up to $1,406, the highest it's ever gotten to. So, it is happening. We are seeing a hyperinflation scenario. Now the question is, what do we do to stop that? We have to ask the bigger question, where's all the money going? Because when we start trimming the budget, we'll begin to get this incredible inflation rate under control. Now, let's take a look at the budget. I'm taking a look at the October Treasury report, and we are looking at a massive amount of money. $4.4 billion per month just to run Homeland Security. This is incredible, folks. And if you want to look at the big picture, the IRS is actually charging over $2 billion a month just to collect taxes to pay these incredible charges and fees and outlays. When is this going to stop? Well, I can tell you, as your future president, I plan on making 50% budget cuts in the employment costs for federal employees. This is going to be an offer to have people work for less or simply fire people that aren't doing their job. And after all the wrangling back and forth between the Democrats and Republicans over extending the tax cuts for the wealthy, as well as tax cuts for the middle class, they're actually going to do this. I think Obama is going to cave in and extend those tax cuts for the wealthy in order to, now get this, get more unemployment benefits to people. They're costing us over $10 billion a month. We're talking a huge outlay, folks. $10 billion a month for unemployment insurance to people that have already been proven to not want a job when they get unemployment benefits. In fact, the Nobel Economics Prize went out to a man who actually determined that people that receive unemployment benefits don't actually find jobs. So we have to get ahead of this problem. So a flat tax would do it. And we're urging a flat tax of 25% on everything over $25,000. Corporations are simply not paying their fair share. We have to make them accountable. And the flat tax would make them accountable. So let's end the stranglehold that the Fed has over our currency, and let's begin to build solvency in our country. Let's start cutting our budget by as much as 50%, not small, paltry sums of $200 billion, but over $1 trillion has to be cut. And let's start making our country simplified with a flat tax that will truly get everybody on the same playing field, individuals, businesses, and corporations. I'm David John Sponheim, and I am running for president in 2012. I urge you to get involved with americasthirdparty.com and watch our blog TV show and interact with us and tell us what you think needs to be done to get this country's budget under control. We clearly are heading toward an economic crisis of huge proportions. Right now, Americans are buying things for Christmas. They're currently doing the best they can. Many of them are going deeper into debt with their credit cards. But spending is up. Black Friday, they had $45 billion in the retail sector. Monday, Cyber Monday, brought in $1 billion in spending. So clearly our economy has a lot of positive flow, great momentum, and very good inertia when it comes to our service and retail sector. But we have to just realize that we need to start producing more, getting manufacturing up, and strengthening our dollar, all the while solving the housing crisis and the labor problem, getting those 14 million jobs that we need to get going again. Thank you. I'm David John Sponheim, and I approve this message.
Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.
I'm an average guy. I'm an average man in my home with a video camera telling the American people there's a better way. We don't have to stand here and let corporate interests, moneyed interests, dictate what we do. We are the American people, and I'm an American. And you have an opportunity to vote for me in the general election as a write-in candidate, David John Sponheim. Your chance has never been greater to use your democracy. I think we can make a difference simply by starting at a small grassroots level and build out. Word of mouth, folks. You know it works, and believe it or not, by the election time, we will be at the center stage. And we could win with as little as 34% of the vote. Imagine that. The People's Party, in the center, in the middle of it all, joining both sides of the political spectrum and forging a union in America. This is my vision. I want to build renewable energy systems, new jobs. I want to get us out of Iraq and automate our presence there. And I want to build things that will last for 100 years and provide fresh water and energy without burning fossil fuels. This is a huge task, but I think I'm up to it. I've been living in America my whole life, born here, raised here, and I believe that we have a chance to turn this nation around. But the only way we can do it is by listening to everyone, talking to everyone, and communicating. Fighting isn't going to do it. We have to find out why we don't agree with each other and come to some agreement. We are all suffering from our healthcare crisis. Some people are paying ridiculous bills, some people have huge premiums, and some people have no insurance. Some people have no health insurance and can't survive. A national healthcare safety net that can get everyone healthcare with a small $20 copay. That's our plan. Mobile medical units can be built in the Veterans Administration through the Office of the Presidency, and we can spider them out to every neighborhood in America. Perhaps the most important thing this nation can do is to have a better image in the world. And what better way than to have a new candidate with a new party, with a new vision as their leader? I can actually help this nation turn its political foreign policy around. Our plan is to reach out to other nations, to help them realize that we're not about imposing our will on other nations. We're about working with the UN and working with other nations to build peaceful communities for people to live and to prosper. We have a plan to build a safe zone in the Middle East where all people can get along and work together in separate villages and in integrated villages, where through education people can begin to patch the long hatreds and hostilities they've had for centuries. We have a plan to do that. I don't think my competitor in this election has a plan to do that. I'm not planning on abandoning Iraq. I want to downsize our troops and keep them out of harm's way. If I can do that, I can certainly resolve the Iraq crisis. I want a national job corps for every American to get a job working in new technologies. Technologies like environmental technologies, renewable energy technologies, advanced fuel technologies. But the only way I can do it is to get you behind a new plan for education. I call it a way to teach kids online with curriculum that they want to learn, not forced to take tests and assessments, but want to learn. Robotics, technology, education. My fellow Americans, I am David John Sponheim. I would like to tell you, we need a nation that stands strong, that's united in the middle, not on either sides of the political spectrum. We need a nation that stands up to terrorists with a strong hand and doesn't run from a problem because it's too difficult. 4,000 or more men have died in this effort to make meaning out of the Middle East. We want to help the Iraqi people, and we have a plan to do it. Our safe zones, if constructed, will guarantee their safety and our soldiers' safety. We want to fight this war on different terms. We no longer want to embed our troops with the enemy. We want to actually get our troops out of harm's way and fight this war with advanced technology. My dream for education in America is our It Pays to Be Good program. We have a plan to give kids incentives to learn along the way. So they learn the value of money, they learn the value of work and knowledge. And I want them to learn things they want to learn. I want them to learn about robotics, about new environmental technologies, renewable energy technologies. And I think those kids will benefit from an online learning experience. 3-day school weeks, I think, are in order in my administration. 3-day work weeks are in order in my administration. We should work less, enjoy our life more, and actually contribute to a better planet. My model for success, for this nation's success, is to provide jobs through a technology and an environmental job corps. I believe everyone deserves an education, but I think education costs have gotten too extreme. The government has to actually put limits on the federal funding to universities so that we can actually get the cost of education under control. We should also stimulate the education package with grant money for kids, for young students that actually want to learn. And that grant money should be in new industries like environmental technologies, renewable energy technologies, advanced fuel technologies, and ultimately get these kids to work in careers they want to learn in. America can grow in ways we thought were not possible. We can become a greater nation through new technologies, renewable energy systems, and a new job corps. Americans can get to work and start earning a living that means something for the planet and for other nations to prosper as well. Trade is paramount. If we maintain brand new inventions, we can increase our manufacturing and stimulate our economy. I'm David John Sponheim, and I want to be your next president. I don't believe that either Barack Obama or John McCain can give you the solutions that I can. Right now we're in a situation, a very serious situation, where we're choosing leaders who may very well be disasters as leaders. And we have to ask ourselves, are either one of those guys doing the job? Are they getting your interest in America? Or am I getting your interest in America? Am I sparking your interest? I've been amazed at all the responses I've gotten. I'm really happy that people have come out and said, we want a third party. And I know that our numbers are increasing every day. This is real change. These aren't words, these are actions. And we're doing it right now in America, building a third party. So we need your help more than ever before. If you've never voted, we need your vote. We have plans for America. We have a way every one of us can prosper. But in order to do that, we have to pick a person that is from the people. And that's me, David John Sponheim, the average American. I'm one of you, folks. And I think it's pretty important that the American people have a representative in Washington. How long has it been since we've had a representative from us? I think Abe Lincoln was the last person that ever came from the average American group. That it wasn't a person with special interests or money behind them. That's what I am. I'm an average American. And why can't I become president? That's what this country was founded on. The very principle that the average Americans can speak out and fight for their rights, health care, a strong military, good border defense, security, low crime, and most of all, cleaner air for all of us to breathe. And a better environment, a better world for our children and generations to come. Oh, we've been fooled. We've been fooled really, really bad. The two-party system, yet again, is saying the Republicans are going to come back, they're going to take over the House, and they're going to get balance. Well, that's a good thing, right? Not really. The Republicans had 8 years. Remember, they kept Bush in office for 8 years and did nothing. And a lot of Democrats just said, hey, let's vote for Obama because he's the best thing going. Well, he's not the best thing now. We've had 2 years now. He could have proven himself that he could have gotten out of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, but he hasn't, because his friends in the Middle East, the same oil people in Saudi Arabia that were behind George Bush, behind Obama, keeping us over in Iraq and Afghanistan. And you know, if you're liberal, you know what I'm talking about. If you're conservative and you're a Tea Party member, you're thinking, oh wow, this is great. We won. We didn't win. The reality is the Republican Party started and virtually funded and got the media backing of Fox News behind the Tea Party. It was processed, folks. It was manufactured by the power elite. They're retaining control over the two-party system. It's your choice to make the right solution here, and that is to vote third party.
I'm David John Sponheim, and I approve this message. Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.
Hi, I'm David John Sponheim. It's been about 100 days since Barack Obama took office as President of the United States. In that time period, he spent close to $3.2 trillion. Money we don't have. Money we won't even have in the next 10 years. And I'm beginning to think that he's not the guy for the job. And if you agree with me, and like many Democrats, I left the Democratic Party because Barack Obama didn't really come across as an honest person to me. So I suggest you vote for me in 2012 as an America's third party candidate and begin changing this government from the top down. Bring honesty back to America. Bring honesty back to politics. And that's what I think we can do. So join us and visit us every day at Blog TV. blogtv.com/people/America's Third Party. We're on every day trying to talk to you and trying to find out how you feel about this country. We're walking along the beach here in Washington, and it's so beautiful. And like I said, this is the environment we want to protect all around the country. But the problem is, we've got a president named Barack Obama who spent the last 100 days spending money we don't have, money that our children and their children don't have. And we're wondering what the heck is going on. Well, I can tell you one thing. I can manage this country a lot better than Barack Obama. I'm David John Sponheim, and I think the key is to actually find the waste. Now, Barack Obama said he's going to find $2 trillion in waste. I want to see him find that waste before he starts spending our money. And I can guarantee you I could find that waste, and then I'll direct that money to jobs, green tech jobs. With a 6-week to 6-month training period, everybody could be working and getting a good job, good employment, good living wage. So let's get this country back on track. Let's get out of debt and improve our environment. That's what it's all about. The ability to create fresh water out of seawater using absolutely no energy other than the sun.
And I'm with America's Third Party, and today we are going to be building our seawater pipeline testing module. Okay, so we have this pipe that we actually had from a friend, and we're going to use this to build the basin for the seawater to sit in.
Right.
We want to make sure we have enough lift over here, so we're going to have a drainage point. That's good.
And that's one of the improvements made on the first seawater pipeline, is actually where does the fresh water funnel into. So David's actually built a little hole for the fresh water to funnel into, and you can see that right over.
Kind of distributed evenly on both sides.
We can do it over there. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to create pockets for the fresh water to flow into. What I would like to do is I would like to flip the skeleton over, because once you get inside here, it's extremely hot here. Okay, so we're actually taping it to that rod that I told you David added extra. And these rods are also strung to the outer skeleton of the seawater pipeline. And once we actually tape it to the rod, the exterior plastic, and then we actually roll it, then what we're going to do is roll it to make it super taut, because you want the
Okay, so using common household products, we were able to actually, we were going to throw something out, and we ended up providing a strut there, and I'm going to pound struts all the way across. We ended up making our own struts. We were going to use rebar. Okay. We are building an outer ridge so that it has more structural support in the event that it gets really hot. And the ridge just goes right over these struts, like so. Sarah's getting a zip tie thing. She's going to zip tie these inner circles to the outer circle. And I'll be constructing the outer circle.
Hold the plastic as taut as possible. First, the clear plastic, so that, and then I'm going to poke a little hole.
Okay.
Okay.
Just take one hole through the okay. There's the zip tie. Okay, good.
Okay, and then we're going to actually push the. Now these are really tight. Are they?
We're going to be able to do this. Inside, you'll see there's a large black bottom. And on the sides, there'll be
You see these
collector points that we will be drawing water into and then funneling the water into this bucket down here.
All right, so we have the seawater that we actually went out to the Puget Sound and got. There's actually even some seaweed in here. But what we're going to do is put this water in the basin. You can go ahead and look inside if you'd like. Slow. We have about. For that, it's going to be actually a triangle type end,
right?
So that all of this will flow into this bucket. All this extra water. The main structure of the seawater pipeline now is just up for some finishing details. We're going to have the water flow, like I said, into a hole right here and into a bucket so we can measure the amount of water. So thank you for watching.
Hi. You're probably wondering where our country's going. I know I am. It's going down the tubes. Our country is in bad shape, and we've got bad leadership right now. The American people chose a politician, not a leader, with Barack Obama. They chose a man that told them what they wanted to hear, not what they needed to hear, and not what we need to do. Barack Obama has no experience in business. He clearly is running this country into the ground, spending way too much money, $3.2 trillion within the first 100 days. That's a big mistake. I believe our country is in dire shape. I believe the economy is getting worse under Barack Obama, and these past 100 days have been the worst anyone could possibly have imagined. Barack Obama has spent close to $3.2 trillion within the first 100 days. This is a terrible mistake, and I believe we need to move in a different direction immediately. I want to find the waste in this government and get rid of it, and then build up from there. I don't want to start spending money we don't have. So I urge you to vote for me in 2012. I will change America, and America's Third Party will gain the kind of support we need to direct a brand new, innovative solution toward America's problems. I believe in sustainability. I believe in a clean environment, but I also believe that we have to do domestic oil drilling in order to get off of our reliance on foreign oil. I urge you to look to the reality before you and realize that 100 days with Barack Obama is 100 too many days with Barack Obama. Thank you. And go to americasthirdparty.com and find out more about it. I'm David John Sponheim, and I approve this message. My goal within the first 100 days of my presidency, if elected, will be completely different than what Barack Obama has done. Number one, I want to find the waste first and foremost, present it to Congress, and cut at least 50% of it, because I'm sure they won't be willing to give up 50% or more of their pork barrel projects. But that's realistic. If we find the waste, we can trim our budget and find that waste and direct it toward a program to build jobs. in our economy. That job opportunity will mean people getting an education within 6 weeks to 6 months in jobs like solar panel installation, wind power maintenance and construction, and creating plug-in hybrid electric vehicles and maintaining them. Our goal is to help our highways throughout the nation, and those jobs are pretty much shovel-ready jobs. People can start doing that. And I have mentioned our homestead renewal plan, where people don't need any training at all. They can start working immediately, laying carpeting, putting paint up on walls, fixing electrical systems, and they'll work with trained technicians, so they'll learn a trade while they're getting a service income, while they're getting money to help have a living wage. And that will give them points that they can apply toward home ownership. These are solid foundations to build our nation on. We've got a much better plan than Barack Obama. GM makes great cars, like the Chevy Volt coming out in 2010. They've got great potential, but they aren't meeting the demand of our consumer market. We believe a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle can be built by a U.S. auto corporation under the lead of Americans working for their great nation. We can build a car that can get 100 miles per gallon and cost around $12,000. That will meet the consumer demand, and we can do it by buying up factories at General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford and giving them money instead of creating loans for them to have to pay back. We have a much better plan at America's Third Party. We have a plan called the Homestead Renewal Plan, and that is a way to turn jobs and houses into a growth possibility for all of America. Capitalism can grow when we grab those equities that are currently toxic assets and turn them into something we can build on. Homes that are foreclosed and condemned right now can be fixed up by people putting their sweat equity into a program that will earn them some money, a living wage, and get them points so that they can apply that to a new home. We want to provide mobile medical units in every single city in America and get students and young children the kind of preventative health care measures that they need without throwing money at the problem. Again, mobile medical units can triage and help people in emergencies and preventative health care situations. We have a plan that doesn't involve catering to the healthcare industry and their rampant rip-offs. We have to start building the economy from the ground up. As I've said before, I would like to get our men home. We would like to bring our ground troops home. We don't see the need to have large ground troops in either Iraq or Afghanistan. We have a plan to bring 100,000 troops home from Iraq within 6 months, using a staged, methodical technique. In order to maintain the stability of Iraq, we have to go city by city and transfer the power over to the Iraqi army. They're already leading many battalion operations, and they can continue leading many, many more. Ultimately, we have to have a much more out-of-the-box solution for Iraq. We have a plan called the weapons-free safe zones. We believe that every city in Iraq, Tikrit, Basra, Mosul, even Baghdad, can have large weapons-free safe zones that can ensure the safety of the civilian population, and they can go there voluntarily and have a place in case of civil strife. Without this escape mechanism and safe haven, those people are at risk. And if we leave too soon, they could be greatly at risk and they could lose their lives. We have to also provide a safety net using high-tech weaponry, advanced weaponry, and Barack Obama has not spent more money on weapons systems designs. He really should invest in a mass production of the Predator, for instance, something that's proven very useful in the war against terror. As far as Afghanistan is concerned, I believe that Barack Obama borrowed Joe Biden's policies. I believe he wants to send more troops, and he didn't want to do that. More than 35,000 troops he talked about sending in. Now he's talking about upscaling the number to 70,000 troops in Afghanistan. Now the net result of that is we're going to be pushing the Taliban deeper into Pakistan, which can destabilize Pakistan's government and ultimately give nuclear weapons to the Taliban. If Pakistan breaks down, we've got a major crisis on our hands. The Taliban will act like a rogue nation if they get access to nuclear weapons. We can't allow that. So pushing into Afghanistan is not the answer. Instead, what I propose is a line in the sand policy. Protect Kabul and protect that area and surrounding areas that can be defended. Do not fight a war that cannot be won in the northern area of Pakistan and the northern area of Afghanistan. Begin to pull back and begin to do what we need with our troops to defend our nation and stop being 911 to the world. That policy has never gotten us anywhere. and it will continue to drain our capital and waste valuable U.S. dollars in wars that cannot be won. The problem with Mexico and the illegal alien flow into this country has been long-standing. Neither Bush nor Obama have done anything to stem the flow of illegal aliens, nearly 5,000 a day, and many of them are other than Mexicans. We don't know for sure who they are or where they're coming from. One of my solutions and one of the benefits of bringing our troops home from foreign countries is to position them along the border with Mexico and rotate them to replace the Border Patrol and bring the Border Patrol inland about 300 miles so that they can deal with cities like Phoenix, the second largest capital of kidnapping in the world. The Border Patrol can still be very functional, but we don't want any corruption to occur at the border. So by rotating troops at the border, we can eliminate that corruption. And if we construct a 1,000-mile fence, electrified, along the southern border, and monitor the area for tunnels, we can begin to stop the flow of illegal aliens. And once we do that, we can give the illegal aliens in this country a chance to become citizens by fast-tracking the naturalization program. It's currently very difficult to become a U.S. citizen. And if we don't step up and face that fact, we are not going to help those people integrate into our society. Many of us came from immigrant families. We have to give them a chance at least, but certainly not amnesty. That sends a message to other countries and other illegal aliens to come on in. We don't want to do that. So solving the border problem and giving the illegals here a chance to become U.S. citizens is the key to making our nation safer and more prosperous, and ultimately helping Mexico, because we can definitely continue trade with that nation and help their economy continue to build. If we don't start cutting the amount of money we're spending all across the nation, including in ground operations in foreign wars, we are not going to get ahead of our debt problem. We have to start stimulating the surface economy, and one of the ways we can do that is by putting money directly into jobs. $787 billion in ARRA, American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, was Barack Obama's biggest mistake. It's money we don't have. It's putting the cart ahead of the horse. We need to get the horses going before we can pull the cart. And my goal as president will be building the manufacturing sector, starting to produce items that we can export that other countries will need. These are items that we can build in the renewable energy sector. Green tech items, things that will help clean the environment, making other countries more energy efficient. And we can do those under my leadership. So my plan is completely different in many ways. And the first 100 days of my presidency will deal directly with infusing our nation with the kind of innovation and prosperity that we need through manufacturing, and also getting people houses and jobs. We need a nation that stands strong, that's united in the middle, not on either sides of the political spectrum. We need a nation that stands up to terrorists with a strong hand and doesn't run from a problem because it's too difficult. 4,000 or more men have died in this effort to make meaning out of the Middle East. We want to help the Iraqi people, and we have a plan to do it. Our safe zones, if constructed, will guarantee their safety and our soldiers' safety. We want to fight this war on different terms. We no longer want to embed our troops with the enemy. We want to actually get our troops out of harm's way and fight this war with advanced technology. My dream for education in America is our It Pays to Be Good program. We have a plan to give kids incentives to learn along the way. So they learn the value of money, they learn the value of work and knowledge. And I want them to learn things they want to learn. I want them to learn about robotics, about new environmental technologies, renewable energy technologies. And I think those kids will benefit from an online learning experience. We should work less, enjoy our life more, and actually contribute to a better planet. My model for success, for this nation's success, is to provide jobs through a technology and an environmental job corps. I believe everyone deserves an education. But I think education costs have gotten too extreme. The government has to actually put limits on the federal funding to universities so that we can actually get the cost of education under control. We should also stimulate the education package with grant money. Grant money for kids, for young students that actually want to learn. And that grant money should be in new industries like environmental technologies, renewable energy technologies, advanced fuel technologies, and ultimately get these kids to work in careers they want to learn in. We have plans for America. We have a way every one of us can prosper. But in order to do that, we have to pick a person that is from the people. And that's me, David John Sponheim, the average American. I've been amazed at all the responses I've gotten. I'm really happy that people have come out and said, we want a third party. And I know that our numbers are increasing every day. This is real change. These aren't words, these are actions. And we're doing it right now in America, building a third party. So we need your help more than ever before. Your chance has never been greater to use your democracy. I think we can make a difference simply by starting at a small grassroots level and build out. Word of mouth, folks. You know it works. And believe it or not, by the election time, we will be at the center stage, and we could win with as little as 34% of the vote. Imagine that. The People's Party in the center, in the middle of it all, joining both sides of the political spectrum and forging a union in America. This is my vision. I want to build renewable energy systems, new jobs. I want to get us out of Iraq and automate our presence there. And I want to build things that will last for 100 years and provide fresh water and energy without burning fossil fuels. I've been living in America my whole life, born here, raised here, and I believe that we have a chance to turn this nation around. But the only way we can do it is by listening to everyone, talking to everyone, and communicating. Fighting isn't going to do it. We have to find out why we don't agree with each other and come to some agreement. And I think it's pretty important that the American people have a representative in Washington. How long has it been since we've had a representative from us? I think Abe Lincoln was the last person that ever came from the average American group. That it wasn't a person who was special interests or money behind them. That's what I am. I'm an average American. And why can't I become president? That's what this country was founded on. The very principle that the average Americans can speak out and fight for their rights, health care, a strong military, good border defense, security, low crime, and most of all, cleaner air for all of us to breathe. And a better environment, a better world for our children and generations to come. We are all suffering from our healthcare crisis. Some people are paying ridiculous bills, some people have huge premiums, and some people have no insurance. Some people have no health insurance and can't survive. A national healthcare safety net that can get everyone health care with a small $20 copay. That's our plan. Mobile medical units can be built in the Veterans Administration through the Office of the Presidency, and we can spider them out to every neighborhood in America. Perhaps the most important thing this nation can do is to have a better image in the world. And what better way than to have a new candidate with a new party, with a new vision as their leader? Our plan is to reach out to other nations, to help them realize that we're not about imposing our will on other nations. We're about working with the UN and working with other nations to build peaceful communities for people to live and to prosper. We have a plan to build a safe zone in the Middle East where all people can get along and work together in separate villages and in integrated villages, where through education people can begin to patch the long hatreds and hostilities they've had. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm David John Sponheim, and I have a problem with the economic problems that you're facing right now in America. I have a problem with a president that goes out and reaches out to foreign countries when our country is ailing. I have a problem that he spends huge amounts of money, and CNN is claiming that $5 million is no big deal per day. Well, that's the lowest estimate I've heard. I'm thinking more like 20 or 30 or 40 or perhaps even $200 million a day is being spent in India right now, when our nation is truly in dire need of salvation, economic salvation. People are suffering right now. If you take the amount of money that this president uses to travel and you give it to the people that are homeless in America, you'll be making an investment in the future. You'll be making an investment into jobs, into creating a new life for these people, and they will pay you back with a wonderful abundance, and the economy will improve. But we cannot possibly expect our nation to get better when we have a president philandering around the world with your taxpayer dollars. Now, this is the eve of an economic collapse that we're in right now today. We are currently dealing with a Federal Reserve that is expanding credit at a rapid rate, forcing prices up. Food prices are going up. There are announcements made. The idea that our country is going to in any way curb inflation is gone. Even Ben Bernanke is saying that we need more inflation. This is ironic considering he was the guy telling Ron Paul 2 years ago that inflation wasn't going to happen when he print up money. Well, we know that's not true. We know this is a serious problem, and it's getting worse every single day. You cannot keep inflating a balloon and expect it not to pop. This economy will pop. Now, I got off the phone a couple weeks ago with David Barr, a spokesman for the FDIC. He told me some things that to him seemed not so troubling, to me seemed very troubling. This country does not have a reserve fund for the amount of debt that it's collecting and guaranteeing. The FDIC has a negative reserve fund. He told me that. And additionally, we have $40 billion floating around the FDIC that they can't really place specifically into the reserve fund because there's an accounting error they're dealing with. You know, I'm sorry, but that may fly among the federal employees. It doesn't fly among me or my friends who obviously have more intelligence than the people that are running this nation. So we have a serious problem. And that is, we have incompetent leaders. Our country has to get competency. We need honesty back in Washington. And I suggest you look at an alternative rather quickly. And I don't mean a person within the two-party system. I mean somebody who's completely outside, unbuyable, and that would be me. I am the unbuyable candidate. And I believe that we can straighten our economy out. And I will tell you how we can do this and put the brakes on this economic collapse that is occurring today. Every day. We see it happening. Let's start moving politically to change our future and move toward 2012 and a brand new future for America with brand new technologies, green, clean technologies that will empower and employ countless Americans. I urge you to check out americasthirdparty.com and become a third-party member.
I'm David John Sponheim, and I approve this message. Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.